When I graduated from Yale School of Drama, I was really blessed to have Angela Bassett. And I went to her and I said, what's the biggest thing you can tell me as an actor? And she looked at me and she said, make sure your income is more than your outgo.
I love it. I'm thinking, okay, Angela Bassett is going to give you some great advice.
And I'm
it's going to be like
in.
on acting.
Exactly.
But it all comes down to basically having a budget. Bryan Terrell Clark.
What's up?
You made a very big name for yourself on Broadway. You were Marvin Gaye in Motown, the musical, and then most recently you were George Washington in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Which role did you have to work harder for your paycheck in?
That's a really great question. I think that both are equally insane. In terms of the paycheck, I will say this. Hamilton paid a little better. Hamilton paid us a lot more.
I can only imagine. The tickets are so expensive.
Yes, but you know what? One thing I will say is that Hamilton taught me fiscal responsibility. It was the first time I had to kind of not look at a paycheck as an artist from a space of survival. It was about what can this money do?
How long into doing the show did you realize, like, okay, I can start to get my savings in order and think about this differently?
It's all about your relationship to money. When I first started getting paychecks, I was still in panic mode. And I realized that trauma, those triggers were coming from childhood, that I would get this money and I would look at the check and I wouldn't think, how can I invest this? How can I save this? It took about a year to not get a paycheck and think to myself, how long is this gonna last?
When you were a kid, what was your economic reality, like as you first kind of remember it?
I grew up with a mom who was a school teacher who became a principal. She has so many master's degrees, I can't even count. I'm just like, Tanya Clark, what? Just education, education, education. And my dad was a blue collar worker. My dad worked in factories. My dad would move very quickly up into management positions, but he struggled with drugs for most of my life. We would be doing great at home because he was a great dad, but when he would battle with that addiction, he would lose everything. And then he would go to rehab or be in and out of prison, and then he would get it all back. He was incredibly resilient. Dad taught me something kind of crazy. During the time he was doing really well, I was probably 15 years old, he bought me a new car.
Wow.
You're not even allowed to drive when you're 15. And so I turned 16, I get my driver's license, and he goes, great, now the car is yours. It's totally yours. But now you have to take over the car payment. And I was like, whoa.
Did you have a job?
I think I feel like I always worked, so I always had like some small job. And I remember all of a sudden, I was driving this car and I was working at a telemarketing firm. And I remember driving on this back road in Baltimore. And I looked down at the steering wheel of this car and I said, this isn't fair, right? You're supposed to be working for me, I'm working for you. I will never do this again. I will never have something in my possession that's supposed to be working for me and I am a slave to it. This is it.
You once referred to Broadway as the blue-collar sector of the entertainment world.
It is.
So tell me what you mean by that.
The thing about Broadway that I think is kind of parallel to the blue-collar worker is that there's this ideology that if I work hard, there's benefit. What I'm realizing as a creator and just as a citizen of the United States is that it's actually not the people working the hardest and longest that are making the most money. It actually doesn't always work that way. So, if I come home and my back is aching, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be the most financially successful. And now that I'm, transitioning into television and film, I'm looking around and I'm like,
who are these people?
This is easy. I mean, the hours are long, but wait. My back don't hurt. My ankles aren't killing me. So, yeah. So that's why I always say, Broadway really is the blue-collar work of the entertainment industry.
Highly anticipated Netflix project, Ava DuVernay's When They See Us. You're part of this as well. This is the infamous Central Park 5 tragedy.
Yeah.
What does it mean for you to be part of this?
It's an answered prayer. Hamilton is such a powerful project and so dear to me personally that I literally wrote down one day, as I go into television and film, I want to do work that feels as important as this. And Central Park 5, now called When They See Us, is one of the first projects I got right out of Hamilton. And it's interesting because I went in for this character who was essentially like the boyfriend of the sister of one of the five. Went in for that role, didn't hear anything. Crickets for about like 3-4 weeks, right? And then I get this email from Ava, and she says, hey, I really like you for this project. Would you mind looking at this other role? And you tell me if it's okay, because I want to submit you to the network. And I'm thinking to myself, you're Ava DuVernay. Like, I'm gonna do whatever you ask me to do.
yes,
I'll be the
fine.
guy in the back, like holding a cardboard box, like whatever.
Like, you need someone to get coffee?
Exactly,
I'm
I'll
like,
be there.
I'll take that job.
I believe in everything that you do, right?
You have a lot of job titles.
Yeah.
Right now, you're an actor, you're a writer, you're a producer, a singer, you're an entrepreneur. Yeah. So you're basically like a one-man gig economy. Do you still worry, I guess like everyone in the gig economy, about making ends meet, figuring it all out?
Absolutely. But what I have to realize is what's triggering me. That's the most important thing. I just got hit with a tax bill that was shocking because I was so on top of all of my finances and being like the good student that my mother raised me to be. And I was hit with just a tax bill that it was terrifying because it was unexpected.
I also got my taxes all messed up. It was because I didn't change my withholding with the new tax law, so I got this like big amount. So you're not alone.
Yeah, I think it happened for a lot of people. For me, in having a business and then having personal taxes, I just didn't realize that there were going to be so many different variables that were going to make things different this year. And at first I was, anxiety, of course, fear, of course. But once I let those things go, I realized that, life does this. Yeah. And again, money does the same thing. It's a system. And so this is where we are this year. It's gonna be okay. Adjust. Champions adjust. So adjust to what this is, come up with the plan, execute the plan, and prayerfully next year and the years coming will be easier.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
I love that champions adjust. I'm going to use that with my kids.
Yeah, champions adjust.
This is a speed round.
Speed round.
Are you a saver or are you a spender?
I'm a spender.
What do you like to spend money on?
I like to spend money on people and experiences. I'm that guy that's like, you know what? I woke up this morning and I want to go to an amusement park. Let's just go.
Wow, I want to be friends with you. Impulse buyer or agonizer?
Ooh, agonizer.
Cash or credit?
Credit.
Check or Venmo?
Ooh, Venmo.
If you could design a new $1 bill, who would you like to put on it?
So the first thing that came to my mind was Barack Obama,
Yep.
but I kind of want to give Harriet another try because we tried to have Harriet on our money, and it didn't seem like it lasted too long.
Keep the penny or get rid of it?
Get rid of the penny.
What was your worst job?
I think my worst job growing up was shoveling snow, and I probably got paid like $10, $20 to shovel like massive driveways.
What was your best job?
Hamilton.
What did you do with your first grown-up paycheck?
When I got my first check, I just remember driving in LA and just having so much sun in my eyes. I was like, I'm gonna buy a nice pair of shades. So I bought a pair of Gucci sunglasses, Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills, Gucci sunglasses, and I thought to myself, this is the dumbest thing you will ever buy, but you should treat yourself once or twice in your life. I still have them.
What's the biggest money mistake you've made?
I feel like I make money mistakes all the time. I don't think I have a biggest one.
And the best advice that you give people about money?
I always say, money isn't real.
What's that mean?
Money's a system, and money's a reflection of your relationship to responsibility, and money's a reflection of your relationship to what you desire. If you can get that in alignment, your money will reflect that. If what you desire is freedom, align yourself with that freedom and the money will line up.
It's deep.
I
like it.
Baby Oprah, that's the goal.
Baby
I'm gonna be like Baby Oprah.
Baby Oprah doesn't have to be worth $1 billion. Baby Oprah could be worth like $100 million.
Yeah, just $100 million.
Yeah. So you played George Washington in Hamilton on Broadway, and we would like to test your knowledge a little bit about the Founding Fathers and also currency. So do you know whose portrait is on the $1 bill?
That's George Washington.
Very good.
This is easy so far.
Now, most of these guys all face right. Who is the only person facing left on a US currency bill?
To take a wild guess and maybe say Alexander Hamilton? Am I right or am I wrong?
You're totally right.
I'm right?
Look at this. He's the only one.
I wonder if it's because he's not a president.
Well, that brings me to another question. There are 7 denominations of US paper currency in production today, which 2 feature portraits of men who were never president.
Well, for sure, Alexander Hamilton. I have no idea who this other person is. Who was not a president? And we can't go with like Harriet Tubman, who like was on.
In there. He is on the $100 bill. It's Benjamin Franklin.
Right.
So, anyhow, he wasn't president either. Who is the only woman to have appeared on the front of U.S. federal paper money?
I can't say Harriet again?
You can't. If you get in character from the show, you would know her very well.
Okay.
Intimately.
So we're saying that Martha Washington was actually on paper money?
There you go.
That's also intense because, you know, the rumor, supposedly, is that Washington kind of married up. So, you know, Martha Washington was the one who was holding those purse strings.
And she's the only woman until you get Harriet Tubman.
Until we get Harriet.
You actually did way better than I would have done.
I did way better than I thought I would do.
I mean, congratulations.
That was fun.
We can't give you any of these as parting gifts.